Good evening, everyone tuning in, and everybody that's not tuning in as well. Hope you come in. So we are a little bit late again this week, but it's worked out well because we were able to talk about the Raw last night as well, and around the stuff that happened last week. So first of all, we have they come as a double act most of the time. Which they certainly have tonight. They haven't come on their own. So, Posh, how are you?
Yes, I'm doing great. Always good to be here. I will be brutally honest. I haven't seen much wrestling action since King of the Ring, so I might be struggling to talk about certain things here. But I'm here in spirit, and I am looking forward to this very stream.
It's all good. Nobody has to watch anything because, unfortunately, I do these notes. Not unfortunately, I enjoy doing them.
Look at that. He's got a script and everything.
Lee's taught you well.
That's my boy.
Yeah, that's. I remember coming on to like live streams and just games and not having anything because you could just tune in as a guest and just like be a guest. And then you suddenly realise, when you're actually doing the video, you need to know what you're talking about.
So you should talk to my broadcast colleague about doing that.
Nah, I'm all right.
See, the thing is, like, if I came with no notes, I can't store this stuff in my head. My brain is very small and my memory is very shit. So it just wouldn't work. In other words, though, Lee, how are you?
I'm really good, Sam. Really good to see you all here on Wrestle Dawgs. If you're watching, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and all that jazz. I'm happy to be here and just represent Gooner Gathering as well, as Sam just jumps off the screen, so that's good.
Turn the light on so everyone can see me better.
There you go. That's the money raker right there. Hello, ladies. Sam Wilson's here.
I wish that worked. I can tell you it doesn't.
There you go.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm recovering. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm recovering from an illness at the moment, but yeah, I'm just happy to be here with the boys. Find out what's going on with the wrestling, because like Posh, I haven't seen much. And yeah, hopefully I'm here in spirit too. I'm hardly here though, I'll be honest.
Fair enough, guy. Well, I think the three of us on the panel are pretty much in equal watching everything. So that's good. However, I've got a lot to talk about because I've seen bits of NXT, and NXT was extremely exciting last week, and NXT is going to be really exciting this week as well because Jordynne Grace is going to make her first match on the WWE brand outside of pay-per-view this evening, so that should be really good.
Yeah, so it's good. Like I said, it's a good job that I've actually seen it all, isn't it? So
I've got your back, Sam. It's all good, mate.
On that NXT now, I think we'll start with that because I think that's the thing that it's nice actually because it's finally something that people are talking about and it's not an afterthought like it has been for a long time because it doesn't get the credit it deserves week in, week out. Like it is really good TV. So obviously I don't think anyone predicted what was going to happen. Literally no one until it actually happened. So first of all, I've now found out since I did my notes that so they have been for weeks saying that Sexy Red was coming on the show. I was under the illusion that she was a wrestler. The way they've been hyping it up, because normally when someone comes in, they have like a couple of weeks where they kind of just like promo them and get people excited. But I'm not actually sure now because she is a rapper. I was just trundling through my Spotify release radars and the music that came out, and I came across a song that was featuring her, and I'm thinking, surely not the person that started NXT last week, is it? and it turns out it was. So I think this may just be a cameo performance for Battleground. I could be wrong, because because at the start of NXT, she stood with Ava, obviously the general manager, and came out to announce that she'll be the host of Battleground. So she debuted on NXT, but said she'd be the host of the next pay-per-view. Like,
yeah, she is a rapper. She's a bad rapper at that.
Sorry if you're watching. I'm
sure she's going to be watching.
Yeah, I haven't actually heard you up, so I don't know. I can't comment.
I have heard her sing Shawn Michaels' entrance theme with HBK himself. Does that count?
Yeah, when was that?
Last week. It was last week on Twitter.
Oh.
So look, I mean, I watch all the good stuff on Twitter. It's where you find the absolute best information for these sort of streams. And to be fair, she sang the Sherry Martel bit absolutely perfectly. So I'm sure she's fantastic.
Yeah, so
rapping is my number one thing that I look to on Spotify. So Word Life, this is basic thugonomics.
Oh, if only things were that good again. So basically, she came out and she said that she's going to be the host of Battleground, which obviously this weekend. And then she then took like a whatever it was away from the table and revealed the new NXT North American Women's Championship belt, which looked quite nice. I have got on my notes to get a picture of the belt in capital letters, but I came into the stream very late, so I didn't have time to source them. So you'll have to imagine it in your mind / go away after the video, not now, but after the video, and find that for yourself. So next, has anybody got any further comments on Sexy Red or the title belt that we can't show people because I haven't got a picture?
I have no idea. I had no idea who Sexy Red was prior to NXT, but after discovering who she was, she is everything I hate about rap music. So there we are.
Me too. I second that.
You'd rather hear me doing more basic thugonomics than seeing Sexy Red.
I think you are way more talented, Mr. Meadows.
Thank you. Karaoke stream coming
Sam,
on Twitch anytime
it
soon.
It will happen, and I won't be there.
Go on.
I'm looking for the picture of the title right now, and it's that I can't seem to find anything on it.
Women's, it might not be anywhere. To be fair, women's.
I think it's exciting. While we're trying to find the picture, I think it's kind of exciting to get a mid-card belt in NXT for the ladies. I think it's much deserved. Gives them a little bit more something to fight on, and it'll give them a bit more time, like on the television program, to actually express themselves and do their thing on the program. I think that's very exciting to see.
Yeah, I think it's actually come at a time that's needed as well, because the women's division in NXT is as stacked as you'll find it anywhere in terms of like upcoming wrestlers. So,
and it's only going to get bigger, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the way in which, obviously, we spoke about the way in which they've kind of like had that tournament the last couple of weeks. That's going to culminate in all 5 of the winners going into a ladder match to win the title at Battleground. So that's exciting because that's 5 like of the best wrestlers that they have.
I found it.
Have you found it? I found it at the same time, but I'll let you do it. So yeah,
which picture?
Go on.
Yeah, I will. I've got a picture of Sexy Red with it as well for the ones who do like her out there.
For the viewers.
So anyone under 18, look away now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, but it's not sexy.
Oh my
just
God.
how it's normally spelled. It's got an extra Y on it just to add emphasis.
That's what it's all about.
So sexy. Like, I don't know how you say it, but it's just adding 2 Y's.
I tell you what, if anyone wanted a soundbite for this stream, there it was.
I won't be doing that again, ever.
We'll make a short for it later on.
So there was 2 matches while we were on the topic of that. There were 2 matches to have the last 2 people qualify for the ladder match. It was Mitchin against Tatum Paxley. I'm really surprised that Mitchin actually won that in the end because Paxley has been on like an upwards trajectory. So I was a little bit surprised. But I suppose that's the whole point. Like, if they're going to give like a title out, it's maybe giving those ones that haven't got much much airtime on NXT that opportunity. I think that's what it's all about. So then we had the other match, which was Kalani Jordan versus Ren Sinclair. Kalani Jordan won that one. So we have the 5 that will go into a ladder match. That kind of answers, because I wondered, they didn't really mention kind of what happened to all the winners. Yeah, that's about it. It looks so cool, actually.
Look at that. That looks nice. That looks really nice.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
That doesn't look very nice, but the belt does.
What is that? What is that tattoo?
It looks like an ice cream cone, right? Like with ice cream, like a couple of scoops of ice cream. Am I wrong or am I right?
Yeah.
It looks like a poo in a cone. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually thought like the tattoos do look a bit daft. Like the tattoos on your face are gonna look quite silly anyway, in my opinion. Obviously, some people, but when you've got an ice cream like cone,
yeah,
ice cream in it, like you're just kind of asking for yourself to get some not very nice comments, let's say. So yeah, that was that end of it in terms of NXT. So obviously we found out that goes into a ladder match. So along with the ladder match with the 5 winners, we have a triple threat. This is muscle memory. I'm trying to remember a triple threat for Obi Femi's title. I've got no idea the 2 people off the top of my head at the moment. And yeah, so that's that. And then there's the title match as well. Again, it's completely muscle memory. So we'll probably be speaking about that on Sunday. So the other thing that obviously the whole wrestling world's talking about, as we alluded to before, Roxanne Perez came out and questioned as to why Ava continues to disrespect her as the champion. The general manager then came out to reveal her challenger, and then there was a slight pause, and then because obviously NXT is like, because it's a small arena, like things do sound.
Sorry.
People are just walking in the room, just like we're not on YouTube at all, just walking through.
We're professional here on Wrestle Dogs. It's okay.
Sorry.
I turned the light on for a reason. You just turned it off.
Sorry.
You might as well come on camera now.
Shows the human element, I suppose, and that we are actually human and not robots.
We're live, pal.
So I don't know what I got up to. So basically,
no, we're talking about NXT. We're talking about the surprise appearance of Jordynne Grace coming into the Battleground, I believe, right?
Yeah. So I said because NXT, like, it's quite a small arena that they do it. They do it in the Performance Center. So like you're able to hear like what's chanting in the crowd. The crowd does sound louder because of how small it was. But I've never heard anything like that when Jordynne Grace came out, because it was just like pure shock. It was that moment where you just go, you didn't have a clue what was going on, and you just might make a random noise because you just in a state of shock.
It's exactly when that siren hit, and it's like, no way. And then you see the aura of Jordynne Grace and the presence she has in that ring. And if you see how she works out as well, my goodness me, she's an absolute beast. And
It's just got that presence, hasn't she? That when she steps in an arena, like you know what's going down. Like it's that presence of a champion, isn't it? Like you can be a champion that just is a champion, but sometimes you get champions where they'll step out and you instantly know like it's their house completely. And even though it wasn't her show, like as soon as she came out, it was like NXT was TNA. Like
she owned it. That's what it is. She owned it. And how exciting is that in terms of the whole business?
Yeah, that's what
WWE and TNA have got this kind of working agreement, right? In terms of publicity, in terms of promoting each other's talent on each television show, that is an incredible opportunity for, especially on NXT, when you've got some talent who are fighting for television time. It's quite fun. You know, anyone could, this forbidden door thing has just been kicked down, blown up, and taken into next Tuesday. Frank.
It had me, because that was my instant thoughts afterwards. Is that what does this do to the wider picture of things, and does this mean that we'll see NXT superstars go over to TNA? We'll see a TNA superstars coming over. We'll see the lower cards, like the lower end people that aren't getting much TV time on Raw and SmackDown and stuff. They'll go across, and it just builds a dynamic that I think is really exciting. Because obviously we know that TNA is back, and we also know they've got so many talented wrestlers that could give them a platform to actually, if they came onto Raw one week as a surprise entrance for a match, that propels their career to a completely different trajectory, for sure, because they've got that TV time and they've got that platform for bigger things. What do you think about it, Posh? I certainly think it's exciting.
Very exciting. That, along with, I think, something else which we will probably get into soon, Ethan Page. Those are two surprises where, no, it wasn't spoiled, but any dirt sheets, if you will. No one knew anything about it, and it just came out of the blue. Hopefully we'll get more surprises like that from now on, with all due respect to Sean Ross Sapp. I know he does a good job at doing these things, but I like the surprises without the dirt sheets knowing.
It's not very
sorry, Sam.
Go on,
perhaps with the Sean Ross Sapp, I know he's interviewed Jordynne Grace just after, so I think he knew, but he didn't want to spoil the surprise, and I think that's quite cool.
Yeah, I do think we live in an era where there isn't surprises anymore. Like when I was back in secondary school, when there'd be the Royal Rumble, those people would be genuine surprises, and it was amazing. But now, the further we've gone along, nothing can be kept a surprise anymore because somebody on Twitter leaks everything. So again, like you both alluded to, it was really nice. Obviously, I didn't watch it on the day, so I opened up Instagram the next day and it got ruined for me. But that's slightly different. At least we didn't know about it before it happening. I'd rather find about after and nobody knew, because then that surprise element that I think, like I say, we don't get very often now. So it's actually nice when it happens. You kind of sit and appreciate it a little bit more. But yeah, I didn't write any notes on Ethan Page really, other than kind of him coming out at the end. And again, I think I don't know. I think NXT's always been really good for me, because I've consistently watched it for quite a number of years now. But I'm really pleased that it has got its moment in terms of it. Last week, it was talked about more than Raw and SmackDown, and King of the Ring wasn't really that talked about. Again, it's probably clips those things to be talked about more. So it was really pleasing to see that actually, and it will bring a lot more eyes as well. People after last week will be going, right, I want to watch NXT now. So it's much to a bigger picture as well. Kyle, what are your thoughts on everything that's been going down?
In terms of
just how we were talking about kind of the partnerships that obviously people are able to build now, because I know obviously as of last month there was kind of the clause taken out of people's contracts to say that they could kind of go to different indie promotion shows and stuff, as Shayna Baszler went over to GCW.
Yeah, no, I think all that's great. Like, it's only good for the talent, right? Like, they get more freedom. Like,
yeah,
that's what you want. I don't see any bad in that at all.
Yeah, I think it makes it more exciting as a product for us to be able to talk about as well, and to people to just be able to enjoy, because no longer do you have.
We see a lot of different people showing up as well, and it's great. Like at the Royal Rumble when the TNA people showed up, it was just it just adds a lot more, you know. Like, you don't see the same old faces. It's great.
Yeah, I think, and maybe as I'm thinking about it, it might get to a stage where obviously I have to sit and watch the wrestling, so I'm able to talk about it here. But it excites me to think that people may be able to get the gist of all the different promotions if they can somehow together link in terms of people going everywhere and not have to watch each show to know kind of what's going on, like to gain like a little bit of a picture. So that's certainly exciting, a little afterthought that I had there. So yeah, that was kind of NXT. Go on, Lee.
Yeah, and just to carry on with that, it kind of secures the future with this working relationship with TNA and WWE. It kind of helps their financial future, doesn't it? It gives them the that security, if you like. I also think we should probably, and you probably can help me out a little bit, because we probably do need to talk about Ethan Page a little bit. You can probably help fill in the gaps that I have here. So I'm aware that Trick Williams was in the ring with a female. You can have to tell me who this.
It was actually Sexy Red.
Thank you. Right, and they were saying like, "Oh, just be truthful, Trick. Who attacked?" And then fill in the blank again. Who attacked who? Right? I don't. You viewers are going to know better than I will. But then for the surprise attack, and he's like, "Oh, goodness me, who's that?" And the commentators just like, "Oh, that's Ethan Page from AE." Whoa, 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 whoa! And he nearly said AEW. I thought it was quite fun. And so again, it's almost like cross-branding between, you've got AEW talent, you've got WWE talent, and you've got TNA talent in one show. That's just mad.
NXT.
That's what it's all about.
So he's known. So I'm just, because I don't know massive amounts about him. I should have already done the research before, but it alluded to me today that I'd missed this out on my notes, and then I haven't had time. So I've just pulled up the most detailed and most precise source that we have on the internet.
That's Wikipedia.
It's just the most factual website we have. So basically, so he's currently signed to WWE, obviously, where he performs on NXT. He's known for his time in AEW, Ring of Honor, and Impact Wrestling. He's a tag team specialist that has won multiple tag team titles in several independent promotions. So basically he's had kind of an illustrious career around the independent circuit, and then Ring of Honor, Impact, and then as of the last couple of years, AEW. So it's certainly, as you go through his championships and like achievements, the list is massive. So like huge. It's certainly something exciting. And someone new that had somebody just watched WWE the whole life, maybe not know. So it's someone completely new for them. So that's always good.
Me.
Yeah, I honestly, having watched AEW the last couple of years, he must have been under a different name, that's for sure. But I can't.
He was still Ethan Page.
Yeah, Posh is absolutely right.
I'll probably I'll go and have a look later, because it's maybe just me being naive.
It might have just gone under the radar a little bit, perhaps. That's what you're thinking.
Potentially. So yeah, that was NXT. Obviously, really exciting. On again this evening, and then it's the Battleground pay-per-view, which they're doing for the UFC, something to do with the UFC, aren't they? Because of the new partnership. So they're doing it from the. I'm just going to get it right because it's like the where they do the developmental in UFC, I believe. So it's sort of like the NXT of, I believe, Battleground NXT. Yeah. It's sort of like.
Sorry to interject.
No.
Just to say, it's quite exciting tonight because, like I mentioned a little bit ago, Jordynne Grace does make her NXT in-ring debut tonight against a Stevie Turner. If that rings a bell to you guys, it doesn't to me.
You may know her. You may have known her on the British scene as what was her name? Bobby Tyler.
Right, gotcha.
The UFC Apex that they're holding it in is a live events and production center in Nevada. It's owned by TKO. Obviously, TKO having the rights to both UFC and WWE now. It holds events there from two divisions, so UFC and WWE now, as well as events that Dana White owns, which is that Power Slap League, which is just pathetic.
It's nuts. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's just daft. I don't know why people would want to put themselves through that. Because people get knocked out left, right, and centre. It's just nuts.
I was thinking next time me and Posh meet up, we could try it ourselves.
Good luck.
Backyard wrestling all over again.
Yeah, now see that I could get on board with. That was.
I can't. If it involves me, probably not.
Yeah, it's good in essence. I think about it, but then when I go to do all the wrestling moves, I'll just probably break both my legs. So it serves as the UFC headquarters as well. So, the UFC headquarters is located across the street. So it's a little bit like UFC's version of the Performance Center, basically. So that's quite cool that we're going to have it in a different arena to what we've ever seen before. So that's cool. So in terms of AEW, I'm going to.
Is it the Apex?
Yeah,
is,
the Apex.
Is that what you're talking about, Sam? The Apex, yeah. They got a smaller octagon in there than normal.
Okay. I have just recently got back. Got from the UFC actually. To be fair, this weekend, it was Poirier against I can't remember his name now.
Makachev.
Yeah, so I think that's really exciting because obviously, in terms of both events, UFC and WWE merging together, I don't quite know how that works, but obviously it's probably just sharing this arena. But yeah, I certainly think it's an exciting one for sure. So I'm going to do a little bit of a word direction, do a complete U-turn and switch over and go to AEW next because that was the other bit of exciting wrestling this week because Raw and SmackDown, as of last week, was pretty non-eventful. Obviously, we spoke about last week's Raw on the stream that we did last because we were a couple of days past Sunday again. So I digress. AEW Dynamite. So I voiced my annoyance on this a couple of weeks ago when we did the stream. So you'll have heard my little mini rant. Mercedes Moné came out a celebration as new champ, which again, I'll say it again just in case you didn't see it. I'm really not happy about. I would like to get both of your views because I don't think you were on the show. Were you?
Not last week, no.
No, that's all right then. So basically, obviously, you know what happened. Willow Nightingale held the title for one pay-per-view, and then the next pay-per-view she was put up against Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks just took the title from her straight away. I found it really cool. I don't know how you guys feel because I kind of alluded to the fact that yes, she's a big name, but I don't think she should step into a promotion and just be given the God-given right to be champion just because of who she is.
I also saw as well after it, Tony Khan was in the club with her, proper celebrating it and taking pictures with it. I think it was a dig at Triple H.
That's not good. But yeah, I don't know.
Is that kayfabe though?
I don't know.
No, because you know what Tony Khan's like as of the last month or two.
I'll try and grab the picture right now. I'll see if I can find it.
I guess that's what I was kind of wanting to know from you guys, because I was a little bit annoyed because obviously they'd put in Willow on this sort of upwards trajectory, and they've obviously. I'd be pissed off if I was her. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
it was expected, really, wasn't it? Because of her name, as you said. I get what you mean, but from a marketing point of view, you can see where they're trying to get the belt on Mercedes. But yeah, I get what you mean, really.
Bailey was there as well.
That doesn't surprise me. She's often seen in the balcony as well, isn't she? So, like Posh alluded to, look, perhaps not surprising. Doesn't make it right though, does it? I mean, even the biggest names in the business didn't transition from one big promotion to the other, and then just get thrown into the big world title picture. I don't think that's really
a very Hulk Hogan thing to do, isn't it?
Well, I was kind of thinking Brett actually from leaving in '97 to WCW. What happened to him? He ended up being a blooming referee, so he didn't end up in a blooming title match straight away, did he? And then all of a sudden, this has happened, and it seems desperately unfair. But like you say, for name value, I understand. I know Sasha is money or Mercedes is money, right? I get that without trying to be a pun, but it's a bit. It doesn't sit well with me either.
No, I just think
in the chat.
Yeah. I'm going to come to that in a minute, but I'll just bring that back up in a second. But it's the thing, isn't it? I actually don't think, apart from her being who she is, she hasn't impressed me at all since coming into AEW, because she hasn't really done anything. So I think this is I guess this is what kind of you and Posh were both alluding to, that if we're paying you those big dollars that that they probably are, to obviously have that name on your brand, you are going to be paying us some money. So again, I don't know. I don't. Obviously, she is who she is, and she doesn't need to be a title holder or not to be big. But I don't know. I'd be really annoyed if I was Willow for sure. And I don't know. Again, you've alluded to it. It's probably just for business reasons rather than.
Not to say that Mercedes hasn't got the talent, because she has. She's always performed at a very, very high level. But like you I think we've all said here, for it to be sort of thrust into that pole position straight off the bat is a bit out of line. But then, if it's going to go towards her character development, perhaps, if that she almost sort of alludes to she's always had that sort of arrogant persona, even back in WWE as well, right? And maybe long term it might work well if she's. I mean, look, honestly, I haven't seen the AEW match. I haven't seen it, but it could work well if she goes on the heel side, going against the babyface later down the line. You guys tell me.
Yeah, it also, I've just had another thought. I don't know where that puts the rest of your female talent though, because you not only pissed off Willow, you've pissed off the whole of the women's roster there that have been busting their ass, as wrestlers tend to say, for weeks and months and years potentially to put themselves in a title picture. So you'll probably have lots of annoyed wrestlers as well that goes, how come she, like, yes, she's a big name, but how can she just come into this promotion and just get flushed straight up? So, yeah, it could benefit them in the business terms, but then in the long run, like if the female talent's got opportunities to go elsewhere, they might be a bigger effect. But I guess that's me just kind of thinking. So basically, she started celebrating, and then Sky Blue appeared on the screen to replay footage from a couple of weeks ago, and then revealing that a few weeks ago it was her that attacked Mercedes Moné. So she then kind of while her what's the word? Like while she had her attention on the screen and was thinking, "Oh, I'm mad because it was you that beat me up the other week." She blindsides her, comes in and attacks her. So that alluded to maybe that's her first feud as champ. But later on in Dynamite, we found that out because they had a title match. Spoiler alert. So Don Callis came out because as of last week, he said he would be offering a contract to somebody new to join the Don Callis family. That person was Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy told Don Callis where to shove that contract. So he basically ripped it in half. Trent Barretta then attacks Orange and afterwards actually signs the contract. And all along, it wasn't Orange Cassidy that they wanted, but it was Trent Barretta. So it was kind of like a double bluff. They gave it to Orange to take Orange's attention away from what was going on. Trent Barretta came in, blindsided him again. And it was actually him that joined the Don Callis family. So that has grown. And then obviously, as I alluded to, there was a title match between Mercedes Moné and Sky Blue. No guesses to who won that one. It was obviously Mercedes Moné. I would have really laughed though if they'd have given it to Sky Blue. I thought that would have been amazing.
How did the match conclude, Sam?
I've got no idea, to be honest, Lee. Absolutely no idea. So unless you have,
gentlemen, any offers here?
Nope.
Okay.
go on.
I just thought it might be fun to know the finish.
No, I'm just still annoyed that she's got the title. So
yeah, and I get that. I get that.
If people want to go back and see how it finished, they're more than welcome to, but I don't want to know anything about it.
Damning from Sam Wilson there, ladies and gentlemen.
Sounded really harsh, but yeah, that's just how I feel. You come here to get my views and everybody else's views, so that's mine.
He's not telling you anything you don't already know.
No, they teased her Forbidden Door opponent, I think. Oh, okay. So obviously, if you don't know, Forbidden Door is coming up not this weekend, the weekend after. Speaking of Forbidden Door, there was a Casino Gauntlet match where the winner of it actually challenges for the World Championship at Forbidden Door. So before all of that kicked off, though, as we kind of knew what was coming, the Elite came out to announce that Adam Copeland has been stripped of his belt due to obviously him breaking his leg. I really hope that when he comes back, they give him the title back and find a way to him back, because I just find it so unfortunate, like that you have to give up your title because he's going to be out for a long period of time. But I just find it really harsh when it's not like your fault. Obviously, he didn't mean to get injured. Like, as I think somebody mentioned, like before, it was probably because like Edge, when he was in his prime, that wouldn't have happened. Like, we would have found a way to land differently. But I'm sure somebody said that on the last stream. It was one of us. It wasn't me. Go on.
As regards that, I mean, I think I said to you guys on the chat, the way Adam just sort of jumped off that cage and just landed down. It reminded me so much of that infamous moment of Sid Justice, Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
And it was so. I don't know what happened if Adam Copeland decided all of a sudden, I can't do this elbow drop or whatever. I'm going to just have to try and stomp him. I have no idea what happened. Very unfortunate. But for him to be doing spots like that at his age, look, I tip my hat to Adam because he's such an incredible performer. And I think we're lucky to have him in 2024 doing what he's doing. But honestly, just think about what you're doing, mate. Honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's one of those things. Yeah, I think it's one of those things because the problem is people don't think about like the split second you've got actually when you jump off that cage. Us as viewers, like can see it all happen, but when it's actually you doing it in person, it all happens very quick. So if you make that split second decision where you're unsure, it's too late because you've already landed on your feet. So that's what happened. Like
I think he's lucky not to come out with a leg like Sid, to be honest. Like I don't know how he didn't.
Been a lot worse,
yeah. Certainly when because I think because you'd watched it the night before, hadn't you? So I think it was you or Devon that told me I'm really surprised that it's not come off worse than that. But actually, when you watched it, like I knew something was happening, but obviously I didn't know the time, and I just kind of knew.
I knew by the way he was like, because what happened was I remember watching it like it happened, and obviously the adrenaline was still there, so he got up, hit a spear and stuff and everything. But after it, you could see it more and more as time went by, and Gangrel come out and held his hand up for the victory and stuff. He was feeling it, and you could see him hobbling more and more. And then when he got to the ramp, he was feeling it bad. It was definitely something broken there.
Yeah, because you could see at the end, wasn't it? Like he looked okay because obviously you'd just be running off pure adrenaline, like you said.
Yeah, and fair play to him.
Yeah, amazing for carrying on. Like shows the professional that he is. But like it was when the match finished and he was actually struggling and to get himself onto the ropes just to hang on to them to have some like level of support. So like I said, I really hope that when he comes back in the picture, I want to say when, because obviously we had this conversation last week, and obviously again I hope I'm really wrong. Obviously you've got to take things into account that he's been in this business for a long time. So there's nothing to say that he gets down his recovery journey and thinks, you know what, I was quite lucky there for it not to be worse. Like I'm going to call it again.
Well, think about it. We thought his career was already over years ago anyway. Like it's a miracle. Like Lee said that we are seeing it still in 2024. Like
so that's why I say like a when, because that's a hope. But I do kind of get that I would say you're one of the best that's ever going to be. Like if you want to call it up now, you call it up. And obviously I'd be upset because he's like one of my favourites of all time. So, but it wouldn't be a massive surprise because obviously, like you said, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. But obviously, when I first saw it, I then went, "Oh my god, like that could be worse than." So I think he is quite. I know it seems funny and weird for me to say he's quite lucky, but I genuinely think he is.
You're right, though, Sam. You're absolutely right because at least it appears it's a fracture. I don't think it's a complete break. Within a time spell, probably of about 3-4 months, a break can quite easily repair on its own. And, hopefully we can see him back in the ring. I don't think Adam will want to go out on an injury like that. Adam will want to go out on his own, on his terms. That's the very reason why he's doing what he's doing in AEW. He's going out and doing what he wants to do, working with people he hasn't worked with before. That's why he's doing his thing over there. And the idea of him going against someone like MJF and Moxley, that's really exciting for me. Let's see what happens with it. Let's just get him fit and well first.
Yeah, the thing is, you just question why that hasn't. For me, anyway, seeing that comment, I first thought that's amazing, but then I also questioned knowing how he is and how lucky he is to be there in that position, why they haven't already done that now. Because every day they don't do that, they run the risk of it not happening because he's not like a young up-and-coming wrestler anymore.
Yeah.
So they run the risk of it never happening. So if he does come back, which I really obviously hope he does, they need to do those things quickly, I think, because I don't think we're going to be able to be lucky to see him for many more years. Again, I hope I'm really wrong, but realistically, you've got to kind of think like that.
We can't think of him jumping off cages and doing all these sort of gimmick matches, can we? Yeah. I mean, it's not as if it's like WrestleMania 17 all of a sudden, and he's going to spear someone off a ladder, Jeff Hardy. As much as we love Edge, Adam Copeland, look, just if you want to keep going, great, but be sensible on what you're putting yourself into.
Yeah, that's going to allude to a question I'm going to ask you all at the end, actually, because me and Carl spoke about it a little bit on the last one. But I wanted to kind of ask everybody because we came to a realization, but I'll come to that in the end. We'll carry on. So the Elite came out and announced that he'd been stripped of his title. The Elite wanted it awarded to Jack Perry, but Christopher Daniels came out and said Tony Khan has hired him as the interim EVP, and the title has to be earned. Again, I wish they could say that to the women's division, but it's just to the men's. We're going to keep coming back to that. But Perry, he alluded that Perry would get a chance in a qualifying match to fight for it at Forbidden Door. So more on that one to come. But again, I think that's really positive. Like, I've got to give them credit where credit's due. Like, if the title's stripped, it shouldn't just be given to someone. Like, it should be earned. So I'm really pleased that they've done it in that way. So the last thing to talk about on AEW is obviously this Casino Gauntlet match. I am going to go back and watch it because it sounds like a really cool. When things like this are done, it's quite fun just to watch, even though the result. Because obviously, gauntlet matches and stuff don't happen very often. But I guess that's why they're still quite exciting. Because a lot of these matches that we see a lot of now, the reason why they're not as exciting is that they're overused. So again, something like a gauntlet match, I still think it holds a level of excitement because you don't see it very often. So the people in this Casino Gauntlet were Jay White, Pac, Will Ospreay, Orange Cassidy, Shota Umino, Claudio Castagnoli, Leo Rush, and I can think of the names in my head. Mystico is one of them. They're both masked Lucha Libre type guys. And from the top of my head, I can't remember how to pronounce this one. So instead of butchering it, I'm just going to say somebody like Mystico that's also masked in AEW that starts with a H and ends with an RO.
Put it in the chat. Write it in the chat. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to give it a go, I'm going to put it in the private chat, and if anybody's brave enough to give it a go,
bring it on.
Then
I've come from the Paul Merson School of Pronunciation. You know this. Cole said no, thank you. I'm out. Okay. Let's call him Nacho Libre. Nacho!
That was hell of a film.
Hechicero.
I don't think that's
Hechicero.
Yeah, that's a good try, but I'm pretty sure that's not. It doesn't sound very wrestler like when they're announcing the wrestler to come out. Doesn't really
Hechicero. There you go.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right somehow. To be concluded on the later stream when I'll actually come back and listen to a pronunciation video.
No, 1 out of 10 You know, give it. Let the chat decide. How did we do?
Yeah. Unless Stussy knows how to pronounce it, then let's go with that. Nacho Libre. I remember that film. Not a fantastic film. Like, it was okay.
It's a great film. Jack Black and that's fantastic.
It was okay.
I've seen that with my Anna. She loves that film.
See, I remember watching it and having this massive hype behind it. And I remember thinking it was okay, but not anything like blockbuster.
It's a lot of fun. Sounded good to me. There you go.
Sounds good to me. So
watch out, Howard Finkel. I'm coming for you.
Good enough for Stussy. It's good enough for us. Right.
Much love, Fink.
So the winner of that was the exciting thing that happened in AEW this week. Was Will Ospreay actually won that Casino Gauntlet match? Which
really?
Yeah, I hate to go against you, Stussy, but I'm really not sure that's a certified
pretty
fact.
sure I can remember Mysterio wrestling in WCW.
So I'm pretty sure Rey Mysterio comes from a long line of family of wrestlers, and that's why he got involved in wrestling. Not because he, one day when he was much younger, switched on Nacho Libre and went, you know what? That's what's going to make me a WWE champion. That is what's going to make me a WWE champion.
The whole idea of that is so funny. I loved it. That's so good.
Watching Nacho Libre, that's why. Nacho Libre is why we have Rey Mysterio. Like, imagine
WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio, nonetheless.
Imagine that. So yeah, Will Ospreay won. Obviously, Will Ospreay holds the title as well, so it would be quite interesting to see if it's a WWE job and it's just for one title or whether it's for both. I'd say make it for both. Just go hell for leather, because AEW can't do any worse than they are doing at the minute. So I think they may as well just go for it. Let me just bring it up to see if I can see if it's for both or for one. Will Ospreay.
Welcome back, Cole.
Sorry about that. My internet went.
It's all right, mate. No worries. We had it all under control, buddy.
Well, if you didn't already know, Rey Mysterio, the legend that is Rey Mysterio, the reason he got into wrestling, Carl, was because he watched Nacho Libre, and then he realized then that wrestling was his calling after watching that.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of hoping we're going to get into his boy later on.
So I believe it's for just for Swerve Strickland's title, but it'd be quite cool to see Will Ospreay with both titles. Obviously, I would say that as his like number one fan, but I think it leads up to it. It's a bit of a shame because I've liked to see Swerve against Will Ospreay at Wembley. To be fair, for All In, I would have really been on board for that. But I don't know. It still could happen, of course. But it would be a bit like we've already seen it. So I hope they've got bigger plans than that. Obviously, last year they left the All In card till like the week before, so it was nuts. So we might get the same as that again. So obviously, I think it's just I'm going to double check that, and I'll come back to you on that because it's not for a couple of weeks yet. But I think it's just a challenge for the world title, and Will Ospreay will keep his other belt whether he wins or loses.
Is it too soon for Ospreay to be challenging for the big title? Because he's only just signed for the promotion on a permanent basis recently. Is it too soon, or do you think it's going to be a good match and it won't? Because I don't think they're going to take the title from Swerve so quick.
No, it's too early for him to win the title anyway.
Yeah. I do see what you mean, though, because if I'm going to criticise AEW for taking the belt off Willow, I've kind of got to say the same thing, haven't I? Will Ospreay has just stepped in. We know how amazing Will Ospreay is. We know that he's one of the best wrestlers that we have anywhere in the world currently. Like, easily say that. But yeah, is it too soon to give him a title? Yes, because I think the problem is you've always got to think as well. Once you reach that top level, the world's or the world title in any promotion, you've reached the top then. Whereas, and then what do you do? Because obviously you can hold this title for a while. It's funny, I'm going to speak about it a little bit, but I watched the Eddie Guerrero documentary that WWE did on the biography, and it was interesting to see his view on having the title, because he said, I'd worked all my life to get to this title, and obviously I hear boxers say the same thing, but he said, actually, when you have the title, he said, then what is there to achieve? Because you spent all that time and your energy up until that point to get the title. You've got the title. And they said it was such hard work, because not only did I have to be the champion, I had to be the poster boy for the WWE. I had to be the ones that, for the fans all the time, I had to be at every single show because I was the champion. Like he said, the responsibilities that I had before being the champion were so much higher when I had the title. So I guess that leads into me saying that if they give Ospreay the title, then what? Like, I want him to see like him wrestle against all these amazing talent that they've got in AEW, and then eventually lead to a title. That's fine, but in the process, I want to see him fight everybody that there is to fight, and then get the title. Because I think, like I say, once you get the title so early, it's never upwards from there. It's always kind of like the same level or a little bit down, because you've reached the top. You can stay at the top for a little bit, but when somebody else's title takes the top, you ain't at the top anymore. So it's a weird, isn't it?
And with the Eddie thing as well, I think the pressure of being at the top of the business as well, along with these other struggles in life as well, became too much for him. And I think that's the whole point, isn't it? It's a lot of pressure on one person's shoulders, and that's what Eddie found for his one and only run. It was an emotional journey to get there, but then to maintain the level was really difficult. So perhaps that might be the case here with Will, but I don't think Will's reputation will be affected either way.
Oh no,
because Will's incredible.
Yeah, he's someone that's held titles in pretty much everywhere he's been, like everywhere. So it's not like he's unaware of what being a champion holds and stuff. It's not that. It's just that I want to see him face everybody, like your Moxleys, Mike, your Hangman Pages. Like
it's climbing up that ladder, isn't it, to get to that, get to that spot to challenge for the world title, the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, yes, he can have those fights as champion, but I do think sometimes matches are more exciting when it's just a one-on-one rivalry and there's no titles involved, and they're able to build up a story regardless of having a title or not. And then it's just quite authentic between those two people. Whereas when you've got a dynamic as one as champion and then one not, you kind of have to base it all around the belt, and I'm going to take that from you and stuff. So yeah, Will Ospreay won that. Again, I've got get photo of the match graphic between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland for Forbidden Door. Again, in capital letters. Again, not happened. So again, we'll do it. So some exciting.
A good match if it does.
Yeah. So obviously, as I alluded to, some exciting things coming for Forbidden Door. That's in a couple of weeks. SmackDown has got 2 lines, so I'm going to run through this one really quickly. Nia Jax comes out with a crown, parades it around because obviously she is the queen of the ring now. AJ Styles then fakes his own retirement in order to get Cody Rhodes out into the ring, and then ambushes and attacks him. I just thought that I was one of those ones that didn't have a clue what had happened before it happened, so I was watching it as I saw it. And I've got to give it to him. It was really, really convincing. If you didn't know what had happened, it was really convincing. I genuinely thought for a second, that's it. He's going to retire then. But then obviously it was ulterior motive. And obviously that's a storyline they'll build up now maybe alluding to. I don't think they'll even use it to Clash in the Castle, because I think that's Clash in the Castle seems to me a little bit like an afterthought for WWE at the minute. It's coming up to like next week, and they haven't really announced it or hyped it at all, really, apart from that Drew McIntyre is going to be in the title picture. That's all that I've heard about it over the last couple of weeks, which I think is a shame, because it's a big thing being in Scotland for the first time and stuff. I just think they've really undersold it. Go on, Posh.
What I've noticed with those types of cards is the ones where cards look underwhelming in WWE often tend to over-deliver. That's what happened with Backlash. So hopefully it can be the same for Clash at the Castle, because I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully the crowd will be just as excitable as the French crowd.
I think it would be quite a lot to live up to that. I've never heard noise like that before. That was unbelievable. I won't go into politics and to do with the countries and my views and stuff, but because that might get us taken off. But regardless of any of that, like that was noise that I haven't heard from not just a wrestling event, from a sporting event. Like, and to see the camera, that obviously they'll have like a solid base to that camera and stuff. See that actually shake as you was watching it, you're like, nah, that must be nuts to be involved in. And like, I wish I could get like a time capsule and just go, do you know what? Like, let's go back and just stand in that crowd, because I bet it was absolutely deafening. But yeah, again, I hope I say these things just how I see it. But again, most of the time, I really hope I'm wrong in terms of it not being. It's just one of those things. I remember Backlash like this, and I remember I couldn't post the predictions into the chat because we didn't have all the matches, and I had to do it like an hour or a day before it happened. So it might be one of those situations again. It's just annoying because it's a big thing for obviously the people of Scotland and the thing of UK, like for it to happen here. But it just seems like it's just, to me, it just, I don't know. It just seems like a little bit of an afterthought. And I thought they did Backlash like that as well. And it was like a little bit of an afterthought. And again, that's annoying for France because they haven't had a pay-per-view in forever. So it's annoying. Hopefully they pick it, like they pick it up on that, because obviously they know the crowd reaction now that they got in France, and the one that they did in Clash in the Castle when they did it in Cardiff 2 years ago. It wasn't last year, the year before, I think. And
it's a distant memory to me, mate.
I know. No, it's not. So that was that. Again, I hope they pick it up because obviously they're having more pay-per-views around the world now, which is great. But eventually they won't become so exciting anymore if you don't keep making them an afterthought. Obviously, so what I was going on to say before I had another little WWE mini rant is that they're probably building up the AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes again for SummerSlam potentially. Yeah, I don't see them. What I was going to say is that I don't see them using it on Clash in the Castle. Again,
it could happen, couldn't it? I think they've got a week to build, so maybe we'll see.
Yeah, it could. Before I allude to like my big overarching question, which I'm really intrigued to ask you all, so I'll quickly go through Raw. It was mainly a Liv Morgan revenge tour again. She kind of was a character in most of the show, kind of running around. Imagine Kish Case when he was in primary school. It's a little bit like that between Dominic.
We're falsy posh for that, aren't we, Posh?
I mean, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
No, I was just alluding to our viewers at the same age as me. That was what we did back in the streets.
Hi, Carl.
Yeah. Carl's internet might have gone again. It's
either that or he experienced too much kiss chase.
Yeah, it's
for legal reasons. He's left the stream.
Yeah, it's bringing back a lot of trauma.
CTE.
Liv Morgan's revenge tour. I thought this bit was quite cool. Like Liv Morgan said that I did what no one else could do and take out Rhea Ripley. I thought that was quite cool. That was quite inventive because obviously she was quite a dominant champion. So yeah, she's probably right. Nobody else could could put her down, and obviously Liv did, but obviously through kind of dirty tactics, let's say, a Dominic Mysterio type move. So I suppose it's like coming back on him. So she basically went into the corner of the ring and started taunting Dominic like she just kissed him the other week. I really do like this angle though, because I think it's very much reminiscent of what they used to do in like the Attitude and the Ruthless Aggression era.
Yeah.
But we don't see so much of it now in like what we would call the modern wrestling, because of I think the reason why they don't do it, because I kind of thought in my head like, why don't they do it now? And I think it's how it could be misstrued to people that like don't watch the picture and don't watch the wrestling and know how it is. So to the wider context of non-wrestling heads, it could be taken out of context basically, which is why I think they don't do it very often. So she basically said that this was quite cool as well, because this leads you to think, well, what is happening with Becky Lynch's contract? Because she said, I put Becky Lynch into an early retirement, which is quite striking for me, because obviously, as we know, she is now, as we know, because nothing's been announced, she is a free agent. She could have already signed another contract with WWE, which I imagine is what's happened anyway. But I think that was WWE getting people thinking, oh God, is she going to AEW or is she going somewhere else? So that put like the thought of into heads. I don't think that's true. As I was watching, I thought that's quite clever, because that leads you to think, oh God, like a contract's running out. Is she moving? But obviously they've probably got a deal signed up. I don't imagine they're going to let one of the hottest female wrestlers like in the world currently. I don't imagine they're going to want to let her go as such. Lee?
Yeah, I don't think Fox would have tweeted what they tweeted last Monday night without knowing something. They said, or they retweeted to be continued, I believe, regarding her story. I don't think it's very if she shows up on the unlikely event that she shows up on AEW or elsewhere, it's going to destroy the planet.
It doesn't feel right.
No. What's Becky Red doing in the Impact Zone? Absolutely well said. Absolutely well said. You have to remember she's a mummy as well, and let's not forget Seth's on the shelf as well. So if Seth's finding life a bit difficult physically, she's probably going to need to be home looking after the kiddo as well. So it makes a lot of sense whilst riding on a big wave. She can come back. She can take her absolute time. She doesn't need to rush herself back.
To take time out and go away for months and then come back.
Come back at the Rumble. Give yourself a good bit of time off. Yeah. Enjoy being a parent. That's what it's all about. And just sort of taking one step back with Liv and the whole story there. If we're not doing a custody of Dominic ladder match, what are we doing?
Yeah, that was.
Come on.
That was one of the things that was really interesting to see. Obviously, going back to that Eddie Guerrero documentary that WWE did, covered during that, and you think to yourself like that was okay back then, but I just thought like if they'd have done that now, like they wouldn't be able to do it now. It was only was only able to do it because of the time that they were in, and that sort of stuff was commonplace in wrestling at the time, wasn't it? Whereas if you did that now, you would never get away with it. So
no, different time, mate. Different time. But again, that match, Mysterio against Guerrero, was incredible, and I remember it like the back of my hand because I'm that old.
Yeah, it was also more special, because that was the
love you, Bosh. You know that, mate.
It was the last time Ray obviously spoke on the documentary, and he said that match was even more special because obviously he didn't know at the time, but that would be the last time.
Yeah.
Last time that he was able to fight Eddie. So I guess it's even more special, like in terms of that. So yeah, again, it kind of came out so many times. It was so funny. I find it like the crowd was really good because when Dom actually came out in this first segment, like the boos were so loud that he was trying to speak, but when he was speaking into a microphone and he tried, like that he couldn't be heard at all because of the boos in the crowd. So I thought that was quite cool. So yeah, that was that. Finn Balor came in the middle of Dom and lived quite a few times. Braun came in to annihilate the Judgment Day later on in the show. Sammy came to the ring as well, and him and Chad Gable had a bit of back and forth. Alpha Academy. There was at one moment where you thought the Alpha Academy was going to break up from Chad Gable because Sami Zayn was in the face and saying like, "Look, you can't let this man treat you like this." So they were alluding like that they might break up. That Otis,
yeah,
Otis
that's right.
It looked like at certain times Otis was going to just take out Chad Gable, and that was really cleverly done because it kind of played on your heartstrings because just get rid of him. Like, you shouldn't be treated like this in like a general sense. So it did get you thinking like that. So again, I think this was really like clever from WWE. So yeah, they obviously he didn't, and him and Chad Gable ambushed Sami Zayn. Bron Breakker again, he's just causing absolute carnage. He had a match against Ricochet, and he again tried to do what he was going to do the week before. Had the steel steps above his head. Obviously, they're not going to allow him to hit Ricochet in the head with these steel steps. But for the second week running, he's been stopped from smacking somebody over their head with steel ring steps over the back of his head. So obviously that happened. Obviously, he didn't, thank God. So
did he hit a Frankensteiner as well, mate?
I don't know. I didn't.
I believe he did.
So obviously, I watched half of the show, and then the rest of the half, I had to just get the notes on my lunch break quick. So I saw half of it, but after that sort of Chad Gable bit, I had to just get the notes, so I had him for tonight. So yeah, Liv and Dom and Finn do a thing again. Jada Bianca come out, parade the titles, call out Zoe Starks and Shayna Baszler. Zoe and Shayna, as you would think, they're going, "Oh, you're scared of me," and Jada Bianca going, "Oh no, we're not," like the pantomime sort of thing that comes with titles. They say, "Right, less of the talking. Let's actually have a title match here and then, and we'll settle this like real wrestlers do." And so they had a match, and it was ended by DQ because Alba Fire and Alba Dawn came out and decided to decimate people. In the main event, Damian Priest beat Rey Mysterio himself, who again watched the Nacho Libre film, and that's why he got into wrestling. Sorry to see, I had to say it again. It was just too good not to.
It was a good line, I must say.
It was. So Damian Priest was fighting Rey Mysterio. Yet again, as we see all the time, Judgment Day distraction earns Dominic Priest the win. Drew then attacks Dominic Priest and picks up the world title and does that little thing before the pay-per-view at Clash of the Castle and goes, "Yeah, I'm going to be the champ now." So yeah, that was Raw. Kind of a whistle-stop tour. Hey, Devon, how are you? Good to see you, man. Go on, Lee.
I think we might have missed something with Natalia.
Yes, I'm going to come back to that. That's my other news section.
Okie dokie, sir.
You alluded to that earlier on in the group. So I did add that to the top of my list in handwritten notes.
Absolutely fantastic, mate.
Posh?
I'll shut up then.
It looked like you was dying to say something, Posh.
Oh no, I was just I think you called the Raw World Champion Dominic Priest,
Oh, did I?
and I was saying that's not his name.
No, that's it's a good mix up of two
You're
people.
merging two wrestlers. You're merging two Judgment Day members together there, Sam.
The mashup.
Yeah, I suppose it's. I suppose I'm in the same faction. It's got some sort of meaning. I think when I read from these notes really quickly, I just allow myself, and sometimes I get it horrendously wrong. So
thanks for pointing it out, Bosh. Nice one, mate.
It's all right. So just going to go back to a couple of comments before I go on to the other things, because I know the football's on and I do want to watch some of it. So
You're 25 minutes gone, mate.
I know, I did see that, yeah.
Still 0-0, you're not missing much.
That's why I tried to speed up Raw really quickly, as you saw.
I say that.
So are they still going to be Hangman again for the title this time? Who knows in that one? I'm guessing by that something's happened in the football. England have scored, I'm guessing, because I got a zip lip from Posh and then a celebration from Lee. So it was pointless, Posh, doing that.
Yeah, I don't want to give away the spoilers.
As long as they're winning, that's all that matters. So is Gunther challenging for the Raw title guaranteed? I'd rather see him face Cody. Yeah, I would like to see him face Cody, to be fair. I think that'd be a good matchup.
Hopefully it allows the King of the Ring win, allows Gunther to choose which world champion he goes for.
Yeah,
like the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that'd be
I'd love to see him and Cody at SummerSlam. Like that's a match right there.
It is, but I also think if you put the shoe on the other foot, I think him and Dominic Priest is an really exciting match.
Dominic Priest?
Yeah. Dominic,
is that going to stick?
Priest, what I said.
I don't know if that was intentional or not.
What did I say?
You said Dominic Priest.
Oh, did I? It's in my brain now, clearly. Damian Priest, that's the one. I do think Gunther and Damian Priest will be a really good match as well. So I think whichever way you go with it, it's exciting. I know that's his old title. I get that part, but I still do think there's a really good match between those two, with them being the same sort of size, the same sort of stature of wrestler and stuff. So I'm going into my added notes. I'm going to go to the bit that Lee alluded to.
Thank you.
Before he ripped Mad off and said it anyway. So I'm going to let Lee. I'm going to let Lee speak about this if you can remember exactly what you put in the chat. I've got it word for word if you haven't. So
what I recall, you might have to help me out. I think didn't Natalia lose a match in the ring? Might have to help me out. Who did she lose to?
Good question. She lost to someone, Lee. I've not got it. So she lost to someone.
Oh, let me fire up the cage match.
Thank you very much, Posh. So there was a promo after the match.
Deanna James.
Okay, so that's a name.
53 seconds.
There you go. So she's been squashed, and then she's. I think was it Sonya Deville she spoke to behind the back in the backstage, and came up with a line I am pretty sure would not have been sanctioned by the WWE. And I say this knowing my history with the Hart family and all that business, right? So she came up with enough is enough. I botched it. I'll try again. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change. She came up with the Owen Hart line, and I'm almost certain that would not have been scripted, being all the legal stuff through the Owen Hart and Martha, obviously the Owen's widow there. I know that Natalia, her contract is widely reported, it is running out. And it almost alludes to the fact that could Natalia, one of the longest staying veterans of the business, and certainly in terms of WWE, could she go to AEW where the Owen Hart Cup is being held? I throw that to you, Sam.
I didn't think of it like that, actually. it's quite interesting. If she's like, if you're actually right, you've spotted it all along, and you'll have to give yourself a pat on the back. But like, if you are, because obviously Carl's internet's just not. It's not happening.
Carl, just leave it, mate. It's okay.
All right, Carl. Don't worry yourself. The internet connection over in Wales.
He's saying enough is enough, and it's time for another internet provider.
Yeah, obviously, in referencing the, it could obviously be. It could be again. I don't want to make out. It could just be complete coincidence. It could be, but Lee could be right in the same breath. Like, it could be either or. So obviously, have that being an Owen Hart reference, is that a wider reference to say, right, that's it. I'm marking my territory, that I'm going over there now, and that's the cup I'm going for. Like, it makes you think, doesn't it? Like, obviously, I wouldn't have thought of that. Like, without Lee, obviously, I would have had no clue. I would have just thought it was enough is enough, and that was it. Like, she was meaning like
it's old theme tune. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Da, 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 da. It was a good theme. You've got to check it out.
That's cool. So yeah, that obviously we'll see in the coming weeks if that's the case. Obviously, I spoke a little bit about watching the Eddie Guerrero documentary that the WWE did. I believe it's called WWE Biography. There's many places that you can find it on the World Wide Web. It wasn't on English TV, so I've got it from completely legitimate sources.
So if people wanted to watch wrestling, where could they find it?
They could, if they want to type in just watch wrestling, there'll be a few websites that come up, and that will allow you to watch lots of different things.
Including wrestling.
Including wrestling, yeah. You'd have guessed it. But, yeah, I can't really do much into that because I don't think we're supposed to be endorsing things like that. But hey ho. So I digress back onto the Eddie Guerrero documentary. If you haven't seen it and you've got a chance to see it, I would highly recommend it. There's lots of interviews and stuff that haven't been released by the WWE. And lots of them were filmed in 2004, I believe it said at the start of the documentary, which was sort of a year before he passed away. So it was quite nice. Not nice. Nice, not the right word, but it was quite poignant to obviously see these unreleased kind of interviews that they had with him like a year before he sadly passed away. But it was really good because it kind of went into like his various struggles with addiction and stuff, and there was a lot of kind of narration and stuff from Vicky Guerrero in the times that he was struggling with addictions, and then obviously they got back together and stuff. So it was a whole kind of, it was nice, I think, for me that wasn't around enough back then to know what was going on fully. It was a nice kind of roundup of everything about it for someone of my age that couldn't see the ins and outs back then and didn't know what was going on. So I'd highly recommend it, even if you know everything about it, to anyone, because it was fantastic. One of the old Rise and Fall of ECW-esque style documentaries that are just some of the best documentary making ever for me. Lee?
Yeah, just on Eddie, if you ever want to see WWE going real, when Eddie won the title No Way Out against Brock, just prior to that WrestleMania, and watch the phone call he had to Vicky after that saying, "I owe that all to you." That's as real as WWE can get, and it's an amazing bit of footage. I've seen that years ago. I talk about Eddie trying to fight back everything that's in my head right now because I know how much I was affected when that tragic news happened back in the day.
It was quite poignant to see how still when Rey Mysterio is talking about it, and still when Vicky Guerrero is talking about it, how much all these years later down the line, because obviously these interviews would have been filmed like quite recently for this show.
Yeah.
Still see how affected they are by it. And like Rey Mysterio at times could barely string his sentences together. He was so emotional about it all. So it kind of showed the effect that he had on everyone that he ever met, but certainly the people like closest to him, and how that things won't ever be the same again. Like it, obviously we've heard, like you hear when people talk about him, how he was just the person that everyone would go to in terms of he'd stand for ages and just kind of work with people on what they could do better, what they were doing really well.
Yeah.
And it was just, I guess it was really nice to watch that documentary and just see the person, because I think that's what we don't get to see, isn't it? We get to see this person in the ring as a performer, but it's not
see behind the curtain, do we?
See what they're like away from being this wrestler and being this personality. So, was CM Punk in the documentary? I believe he was. I believe he was mentioned in the documentary, and they showed his old footage from when they realised that he passed away. The footage that he did, because he was quite a young wrestler back then. They showed that footage that he had speaking about it. I don't think he was in it in terms of actually like the interview style that Eddie Guerrero, that
no,
Ray was.
If you think of the timeline, because then I think a year or so down the line with the Benoit situation, bear in mind Punk was in ECW or WWE ECW. So he probably wasn't in the company right then.
No.
Or if he was, it was very, very early into his ECW.
He was like very much fresh onto the theme when all that happened.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It alluded to him speaking about, obviously, when he'd been on other smaller promotions, him coming across Eddie in those smaller promotions where he would go and just give people advice, or like he had that spell in the middle of his career after all of his addiction troubles, where actually WWE said we need to take a step back and then
release him. Let's not forget that they completely released him for his contract, and then he worked in the independents. Yeah, he may well have worked with Punk in the independents, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think it probably was the fact that because he spent a couple of years just off his own back, just going around the independent scene. And I just imagine like how amazing it would have been if you were at one of those shows to be able to see him like up close and personal, like in an independent like show. How amazing that must be, and like a memory you would hold forever, having seen someone so amazing at what he does in such a small arena, or like being so close to him. Like it must have been amazing to see. But obviously then WWE did have him back once, because they said it was weird. They were waiting. They was always going to have him back in the documentary. They said they were always going to have him back. It was just that they needed to hear, not only was he doing okay in terms of he was getting through all his addiction struggles, but he was back to what he was before he had all of his trouble with his addiction. So they were waiting to hear not only that he was doing better, but for other people to come to them and say, like, Eddie's doing so much better now. Then they had him back, which I thought was really nice from WWE, because they didn't obviously need to do that, but obviously they realised how much of an amazing asset he was to them. So yeah, that was that. Like I said, I'd highly recommend that you go and watch it. Just quickly before we go off, last question to you all. That looks really good actually. So that's good you've reminded me, because after the show I am going to try and source that, because again it might be quite tricky for us, because the Vice that it's on is the American Vice. I don't know how we get access to that, because it's never been easy before. So I'll try and
watch that.
Yeah, I'll try and work my magic and get it for everyone. So me and Carl spoke about it last week, so I'll kind of let you two at it. So obviously, surrounding Kyle actually brought this up as a point. So surrounding what happened at double or nothing in regards to the fire being used and set on fire to Jack Perry's leg or something, wasn't it? And that. So the two things that really gripped Kyle to come up with this statement, and it kind of furthered on the conversation, was obviously, like I say, they set fire to Jack Perry's leg. That was quickly put out and stuff. But then afterwards, I didn't realise this at the time until Kyle said, but they actually left Darby Allin hung downwards by like something that was attached to the roof, and they left him there for a good 10 or 15 minutes, just dangling, completely upside down, and just left him there. I didn't think of it before, but until Kyle said. And I can't remember without him saying, but he said it reminded him of WWE's darker points where they've
the Boss Man against Undertaker. It reminds,
and it said it reminded him of that, but then he said it reminded him of other things that are quite dark in WWE's history in terms of that. So we came on to a bigger question. Obviously, we know AEW are in a state of don't really know what's going on at the minute with all the controversy that they've had and stuff. That was it. He said that it reminded him of all the things to do with the hearts that WWE did. So Kyle said it reminded him very much of all that stuff as well. So the question I kind of want to ask is, I came up with a conclusion that obviously because AEW is really struggling at the minute, because they're struggling, are they compromising the safety of their wrestlers by doing things like this that to me or you may seem quite, well, it's not. When you think about it, it's not trivial at all. But to the normal just watcher of AEW, it may seem quite trivial. But for people that know the wrestling, are they getting to a point now that where something could happen? Again, God forbid, I really hope it doesn't. But you have to start thinking of these things, don't you? I just thought that was I just wanted to get everyone's opinion on the kind of thing that me and Kyle came up with, because to me it's quite worrying. I don't know about you guys.
I do understand. As you know, shocking as these stunts or crazy bumps are, I do think it is. AEW need to be incredibly careful of how they treat their wrestlers in terms of if the wrestlers themselves are okay with it and there's safety in place, then they can be fine doing it. But I just got a horrible feeling knowing what Tony Khan's like. He's not thinking straight when it comes to these things. And I really hope that an incident doesn't become a serious incident, if that makes sense. So I do think they need to be careful of how they organize these things.
Yeah, I do think that's what me and Carl were kind of alluding to, in the fact that we don't want to tempt fate and say that anything's going to happen imminently, but because of the angle of them struggling as well, they've got to kind of go above in terms of the shock and let's get people talking about AEW again. So like you said, it's okay if the wrestlers are okay with it, but obviously all these security measures and stuff are in place for all the other tragedies that has happened. And it does unfortunately sometimes go horrifically wrong. So I don't want to get to a point where that could be the case. I don't know about you, Lee.
So I haven't seen all of what you're talking about, but all I can allude to is what I know and what I've seen, right? And we covered the Edge, the Adam Copeland spot, jumping off the top of a cage earlier on. You've got to think longer term about, is it worth popping a rating, if you like, for a big old spot, potentially compromising the top talent's safety?
Yeah.
Or do you think longer term in telling a story? And the other thing is, if there's something big like that that's happened with Martha Hart in the building as well.
Yeah,
wow. I mean, how irresponsible is that?
It must have been horrendous, her sitting there and just, I imagine, obviously I'm not in her head, but I can imagine as that was happening, it would be impossible for that not to just come back up and just be in you. Like, it's just horrendous.
There's no way that she'd clear it. Absolutely no way. If you say, oh, by the way, Martha, we're going to do this little stunt here, and we're going to have Darby just hang around a little bit, just over a zip or whatever contraption it's going to be.
Screams
inappropriate. No way.
Yeah. It just, the thing, like, obviously I didn't realise, but that just screams to me so inappropriate. Like, it's not in terms of anything to do with the product. It just screams as, oh my God, that's beyond, like, appropriate. And that just...
It's what it's doing to me right now when you're talking about it. My head immediately goes way back to Over the Edge. And I remember exactly how I felt seeing the live reactions to all of it. And if that's exactly what's happened, and if that's what Khan has authorized to happen on the television show, pre-planned, my God, what is this guy doing in wrestling?
I know. Yeah.
And that's your shoot, brother.
Oh, no, I actually do think you're right. Because obviously I've been...
Oh, you got me into an emotional state there, son.
Yeah, no, like, because I think it does bring up emotion, though, doesn't it? Because it brings up...
I love the Hart family so much, mate. They're Brett and Owen and Jim and you know, all the whole family is the reason, one of the reasons I watch wrestling. I love their style of wrestling much more so than the brawling style of a Hulk Hogan or whatever. I love what wrestling is all about, all because of the Hart family and their technical nous in them ropes. And it almost feels like a disrespect to that family name.
Definitely.
Ooh, I've got hot. Oh.
No, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I certainly, when I didn't think about it, this is why I think it's so interesting. I didn't think about it before Kyle said it. And then it's that hairs on the back of your neck moment. Like, all my hair stood up on end. And I thought, yes, I wasn't around to see that. But obviously I know everything about it. As a professional wrestling fan, you do look back at things like this because they're moments in history that you hope will never happen again. But you have to look into it to see. I don't know. Me, just the critical thinker that I am, I have to look back and I have to go, right, what could have been done differently? And obviously so many people have said what could have been done differently. We know that. But I guess what I was trying to allude to is that when Carl said it last week, it was like oh shit. Like, it was kind of one of those like moments where you went, do you know what? Like, are they crossing that line that's you can't come back from? Because when something like that happens,
it's not fun anymore, is it? When you do that, that's not fun.
You don't come back from stuff like that. And looking back at it, I don't know how WWE was able to come back from all the things that have happened in their history. I really don't. But yeah, it was kind of that, oh my God, like, have we alluded to something that could happen? Because again, like, WWE or anyone never wanted any of those things to happen, and safety measures were put in place and stuff, and yet they still happened. So I think it was quite important what Posh said. Yeah, yes, it's okay if the wrestlers are okay with it, but there's that 1 in a million chance, isn't there, that something really horrible goes wrong. So yeah, I think it's one that, again, as much as I love AEW and what they do, over the last couple of weeks, you have seen that I've got to give the truth, and the stuff that there's a lot of stuff over the last few weeks that I haven't liked, and I've been quite vocal about it, as I should be. I think I can't praise them and then not pull them up when things are not going great. But at the moment,
I think that's the case of being a good journalist, Sam. To be fair, mate, you got to call it as you see it. It's the same way that when me and Posh go against each other.
I've got to put my. But I think that's what you have to do. On a space like YouTube or a space that's watched by people, you've got to take away all of your biases. We all have biases about particular things, but I think to do a job that people can watch, you have to kind of take those biases away and just say how you see it. And I think the ones that don't get found out very quickly and don't stay in this space for a long time because they're just not appreciated as much, I don't think, when they. But yeah, I just think it's good to get that view of everyone, and when we get Devon and the rest of the guys on, I'm going to ask them the same question, because obviously each person that I speak to about it will have a completely different view. Like that's what I was hoping to. That's why I wanted to ask you particularly tonight, is because out of all of us, you were the person that
I was there, mate.
Things like live and in.
That Monday morning, I literally was just talking to my mum today at her place about that very moment this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and it just stirs up so much of how I felt, and then I see Jim Ross's face when he has to call what has actually happened about 10 seconds after he found out what happened. It's the saddest and most tragic moment I think that's ever happened in the business. And like you alluded to, in you know, if you, just let's be a little bit sensible in what we're doing on a television program. Let's not pop a rating by doing a ridiculous stunt that's eventually going to hurt your talent.
Yeah, I think, like I say, that's a dangerous thing. That's a dangerous thing of the position that they're in now.
It's got a bit heavier than I anticipated, I'll be honest.
I think it does bring up. I think it does bring up emotion, though, doesn't it? Like, I certainly know.
Certainly with me, mate. Certainly.
For me, I didn't see like the incidents live like you did, Lee. So, it's just a dangerous point when you've done things really wrong, and when you're trying to get back to where you were before. It's a very dangerous place to be, because you think, right, I've got two options here. I can stay at being this level where everybody's taking the mick a little bit, or I can push the boundaries a little bit further. And if you push that boundary too far, then that's where it gets really dangerous. And I think that's the point they're at now. They're at a point where they need to bring their ratings up, but they need to be very careful in how they proceed. Because if they don't, then we could be back here in 3 or 4 months' time in a dire situation. At the minute, we're not, thankfully. But if they carry on with this sort of stuff that we saw on that one pay-per-view, then who knows what could happen. So, I think it's a good place to end. I think it leaves a lot of thoughts for the people that are watching. Just quickly, because Posh obviously didn't get much of a say in it, is there any further bits that you would like to allude to? Because obviously me and Lee kind of went on a long...
No, not really. I think you've both said it perfectly well. I think it's AEW need to be more careful with how they do these things. And it's being a balanced broadcaster, as you did, Sam, even though, you like AEW, it's important to call them out when they do something wrong. So, I agree with what you're both saying.
Cool. Yeah, I think it'd just be interesting, like, over the next couple of weeks, obviously, when everyone comes on, just to ask that question, because we'll get, like, 2 reactions like we got this evening. It will just be that person's, like, whole view. So, I think it's a really good one. And that's why I wrote it down. I was like, I'm going to ask everyone. I'm going to ask everyone now. Like, it's my question that, like, people are going to be waiting for.
So we're going into the second half now, mate.
I know. Well, Russo scored, hasn't she?
I know. I've just seen it.
Our gal Russo scored, so we're actually 2-0.
Oh my gal! Maystone's finest, Posh.
Literally,
the only good thing about that place, apart from their barbershop, and the Nando's there.
I'll let you kind of tag team this part, as wrestling terms would say, because you're both going to tell me exactly the same thing. So I'm going to let you kind of do your thing, both of you.
Posh, you go first.
Well, in terms of where you can find us, you can find me on Twitter or X at PoshBertie. My Instagram's at BertieWanless, and I run Gooner Gathering's Instagram account, which is at Gooner Gathering. Mr. Meadows, where can they find you?
Thank you very much, Posh Bertie. Yes, you can find me on X at Goonerly Mead. You can find us at Gooner Gathering. Our YouTube channel is, of course, Gooner Gathering. That's where you normally see certainly myself and Posh. Sam's very much involved in our channel as well. Family-friendly Arsenal YouTube channel. Thank you very much. There he is. Put it on the banner for us. We are on a march to 500 subscribers now. and we're having a jolly good time. Even in the closed season, we're putting out content. My boy down there is putting out some fantastic football management content. Football Manager 2024. If you want to see Arsenal in the Champions League final, that's the boy to go to.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I'm quite behind on it. I've had a manic few weeks.
Oh, well, sorry to give you the spoiler, but we are in the Champions League final, and there's going to be a stream completely dedicated to that. And I want all people, all our viewers watching it.
Yeah, so you'll have to let me know. You'll have to let me know because, like I say, I am really behind on it because life has just been mental.
Heads up.
I put a little short out earlier on today when Posh tweeted out. I saw your tweet when I was at my mum's, and I thought I'll just do a little edit on my favourite bit of yesterday's stream, the Kai Havertz free kick. That's my boy.
See,
because like third game this whole season.
I feel that I miss out. I feel that I miss out on a lot of stuff because when my X app gets opened, it's a very rare occasion anyway. So I feel that I miss a lot of the dialogue. That's the only mention we'll have a Champions League because it's not really happening in real life, which I wish it was. So, but it can happen on Football Manager still. So that's all good. I'm not sure what point of the video that was. I just wanted to bring it up because I missed that comment. Thank you very much for tuning in, Stussy, and being sending us so many comments. It's really nice to have interaction from the people watching. We really appreciate you coming on. This is the part where I would normally ask Kyle what he's got coming up. But obviously the internet over in Wales clearly isn't having it tonight.
I'm pretty sure he's got some videos in the making. So watch when they come out. The pre-record stuff that we do on Wrestle Dawgs is outstanding. So make sure you've hit your bell icon so you can see everything that goes out on the channel. And of course, check out the Patreon. That's patreon.com/Wrestle Dawgs for exclusive content.
It's almost like I gave him a script, but I didn't at all. That's the thing. That's just completely.
I'm a professional broadcaster.
It's muscle memory from your own channel as well, I guess. It's just I guess it becomes, and it's a weird one, isn't it? Because it just becomes commonplace. You have to do that. It's just something that. So I imagine it comes fairly natural to you, whereas to me it would just be,
absolutely.
Stussy said no problem. Hope you have a good rest of the evening. I will be going off now to watch 24 Hours in Police Custody because that's got a special this evening. That's one of my favourite shows. So
I thought we were going to watch the Lionesses.
They are, but that's almost. I'm hoping. I don't want to tempt fate because also I'm not going to say anything. But we're in a very good position in that game, so that allows me to come away from it and watch something else. So, in order that Lee doesn't miss anymore and Posh doesn't miss anymore, that is the end of the stream. You can check us out maybe on Sunday, I would imagine. Potentially, I'm not saying it for gospel as the last few weeks we've both said twice it would be Sunday, but hasn't been. So, thanks everyone for tuning in and see you soon.